Good morning, students. I hope that you feel well.
Good
Good
morning,
morning,
Mr.
Good
Doctor.
morning,
Good morning,
Doctor.
Doctor.
Thank you.
Good morning,
Thank you.
Doctor.
Well,
حبيبة
uh, we,
أرجيك عن وقتك.
well, today we are going to discuss chapter 5, which is entitled The Fundamentals.
Arabic.
And you have to know that this is, let me say, a process. We tackled previously different stages, and today we are going to go deeper and we are going to discuss how to write. Okay, beginning with the first page, the writing process. So what I want you just to follow what we are going to tackle. First, let's review the process you should follow in writing a paper. The process has 3 steps: rewriting, writing, and rewriting. So here, as you see, we have 3 stages, 3 steps in writing the research paper. In pre-writing, you come up with an idea, gather information for support, and prepare a working outline. And this is previously discussed in the previous chapters. In writing, you write a quick rough draft of your paper. Finally, rewriting, you revise your draft carefully, reshaping and refining what you created in a rough form during the writing stages. If you skip over any of these stages too quickly, you will mar and possibly ruin the product. So here, as you see, these stages are sequential. You know the word sequential. You cannot jump
Yes.
over, okay, a stage, and you cannot neglect or leave a stage, because you see now it is a process. So when we are going to tackle these stages, we are going to fulfill each stage and the requirement of each stage. Previously, we discussed, in chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, successively, the pre-writing stage. And to go, deeper, we are going to see what do we have on page 66, okay? Pre-writing. In the pre-writing stage, you choose a topic, narrow it, and move toward taking stand your thesis. You see now, when you are going to have these things, we are reviewing what we tackled in the previous chapters, okay? Choosing a topic, narrow it, all these things we trained how to do it, okay? You also gather support, and this is what we tackled in chapter 3. For a non-research paper, you make notes from memory. For a research paper, however, you find sources and gather your support from them. So here, when we are reviewing these things, of course, we are talking about what we tackled in the previous chapters. Okay, now let us move to writing. When you finish the research process, you are ready to move from the pre-writing stage to the writing stage. Okay, this is the stage that we reach now. But how will you know when you finish the research process and are ready to write? Although there is no surefire answer, your working outline and your notes cards are the keys. Here, there is a question: why to say that there is no surefire answer? Because this stage is related to the researcher. It's himself or herself. Here, the time that you decide to write, it is related to you as a researcher, because it depends on your own efforts, whether you can speed up or you can move slowly. So this is related to the availability of the resources, the process of taking notes. So these things will be decided according to your circumstances. And that's why I say there is no, strict, or let me say, a clear point about it, because this is something personal. It cannot be decided, generally. It is related to the circumstances of the researcher to decide the point or the time that he can write. Get the point now?
Yes,
Well,
doctor.
Yes,
Yes,
doctor.
doctor. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, doctor.
Okay. Now, obviously, you are not ready to write the paper until you can fill those gaps. What kind of gaps that we have? If you remember, when we tackled the research outline, we said something about sections and subsections of the topic. What does this mean? It means that you cannot, tackle the title generally unless you divide the topic into sections and subsections. And these things will be decided in the outline. Now I'm going to show you, okay, practically a topic and how is it to be, put in an outline. This is one. Second, how is it to be divided into subsections, okay? And these subsections should be, tackled one by one in order not just to leave things open. The information should be taken according to these subsections. Now, I want you just to see with me here. I believe that you can see now this file.
Yes,
Yes,
doctor.
yes,
Yes.
doctor.
Here we have a title that is role play and discussion activities, a comparative study. This is the research topic, okay? This is the research topic,
Yes, doctor.
okay? Here we are going to have an outline. You see now, without an outline, you cannot, start writing, because you are going to write, section by section, okay? So here you can divide up the topic into sections, and then you have to know how many chapters that you are going to cover. So with this, let us examine these subsections. You see now, for this topic, we have to have what? Chapter 1, which is, again, divided into subsections. Can you see these numbers? You see 1.1, 1.2, 1. These are the subsections of the chapter. Since we have chapter 1, so we have 1.1. What does it mean? Section 1 of chapter 1.
Yes.
Have a point now? So here,
Yes.
when you are going to start writing, you have to know how can you, put the information that you have in the appropriate section. You remember in the previous stages, we collected information, and we have ways of collecting and taking notes. You remember these things that we tackled earlier, okay? But these things should be classified. So here we have some sort of a classification. You have to classify the information that you have, and you are going to put them in their appropriate section. You have information, but how to put it? Here, the point that we are discussing, that is filling the gap. What does it mean, filling the gap? You put the information that you collected in the appropriate section, and then you are going to check, is it to be filled? Is there a gap? Is there a missing information? This is the idea. Got the point now? When you say filling the gap, what does it mean? And how can we fill it? We are going to divide the topic into chapters and sections. And these sections are the classification of the information that we collected earlier. And then we are going to put the information, okay, in the appropriate section. So you see here, in chapter 1, we have these subsection, okay? Then we move to another, let me say, chapter. That is what, here we have what we call the heart of the topic itself. You see now the topic is what? Role play and discussion activities. These are classroom activities, by the way, in order just to have an idea about. Okay, so here in chapter 2, if you can see here, okay, we tackle each activity in detail, and that's why we divide the subsection into subsection. Can you see now here? We tackle the first activity, that is role play. So it is what? 2.1. Then related to the subsection, we have subsection, and that's why we have 2.1.1. Clear or not? Just tell me.
Yes, doctor. Yes.
So here, when you collect information, here you are going to put the information that is related to definition in this section. Then you are going to move to another. Once you finish with the first subsection, you move to the other, and then this is what we call the classification. Unless you have this outline, you cannot classify the information that you have collected earlier. Clear or not?
Yes.
Yes, doctor.
So here, as a practical example, you see now, this is totally the outline of the research paper, as a whole, and then you have the information, then you classify. When you classify, then you can start writing, because you are going to put each information in its appropriate position, or let me say section. Let us view other information here. Now the question: how can we divide, or let me say cut the topic itself? You see now here, when we tackle this topic, we have what? A comparative study. If you check, okay, in a comparative, what does it mean? It means that we are going to deal with each one singly, and then we move to another chapter just to have what? Comparison. So here practically, when we are going to divide, we are concerned with the topic itself. What is the aim behind this study? What is the purpose behind this topic? What we are going to do, okay? And that's why we are putting these chapters in this way. And that here, and finally we have conclusions. You see now, for the comparison, why to have the comparison? We are going to put certain conclusions about these things. So here, practically, when we tackle this topic, we have to study each part. We divide the topic into two parts. Role play, this is part 1. Discussion is part 2. We tackle them singly, and then we put a chapter to compare between them. So what does it mean? Here we have a sequence. If you check, we have a sequence of chapters. We deal with these things singly, and then we move to comparison. What does it mean? It means that our research is organized, is put in a system in which we are going to sequence the information that we collect earlier. Clear?
Doctor, the title of
Yes, sir.
subsection,
Yeah.
we choose it from the book, or we
No.
write it from ourselves?
No. Here, the subsections are decided when you are going to have your aim of studying chapter 1, what you are going to tackle. Okay, so here practically in this title, the criteria of comparing is related to the information that are to be decided in chapter 1, and that's why we have chapter 1 aim of study. This is one. Second, of course, the when you are going to divide the subsections, this is to help you to to classify the information. Of course, the definition will be taken from resources, definitely. Okay, but here the subsections will be decided by the researcher, not the resources. Got the idea or not? Just tell me.
Yes,
It is
yes,
not
doctor.
to be decided by the resources. No, it is to be decided by the researcher according to the aim of the study, which is to be found in chapter 1. Clear?
Yes,
Doctor.
doctor. Thank you, thank you.
Doctor,
Yes, yes, yes.
about this division. This division
Yes.
is got on all research law. There is another ways we can divide.
Well, it depends. It depends. By the way, this title is related to a certain field, that is methodology. Okay, methods of teaching, I mean. Okay, but if you have another topic which is related to literature, of course it will be different. When you have something which is related to linguistics, okay, the division will be different. Okay, so it depends on the topic itself and the field of the study.
Because
Clear?
doctor, you know,
I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to show you to other topics that are related to grammar. But here my aim is just to tell you how to divide up, and this is my point, the topic into subsections. Okay,
Doctor,
notice. Yeah, tell me.
yes, doctor, about this chapter, should we know that each topic is divided into several sections? So
Yeah.
it's numbered sequentially. This means that each main heading is divided into subheadings.
Very good.
So these headings must be numbered. This
Very
is
good.
very important, this point in this chapter.
Very good, very good. And this is what I want you just to know. And
Yes, doctor.
here with these examples, the idea will be clear. See these grammatical topics. Okay, you see now syntactic categories of verbs in English sentences. Okay.
Yes, doctor. We learned that when you read any topic.
Yeah, if you check with me, here there is a division of the topic itself into subtitles. You see, first of
Yes.
all, we say verbs. What are verbs and their importance? And then we have syntactic categories. What are these things? Main and auxiliary, linking and non-linking, transitive and intransitive, regular and irregular. You see now, these are to be subsections
Subheading, yes.
yeah. This is the idea. You may have another title, metaphorical use of prepositions of place. Okay, so what are prepositions? Okay, and what is meant by metaphorical use, and how different from literal use? Detailed explanation of metaphorical use of each. You see now, here the process is we divide up the topic, and this is what I want you just to know. How can we divide up the topic that we have, the title that we have, into sections, and these sections will be classified according to the title itself, and then we are going to fill these sections with the information that are collected from resources. Another title, investigating the uses of adjectival clause. Okay, So here, what is meant by adjectival clause and what are their types? What are their uses, modifiers and of nouns? Types of negation in English sentences. The concept of negation, the types. Then, syntactic functions of reflexive pronouns. What is meant by reflexive pronoun? What are the syntactic functions? Emphatic versus non-emphatic. Pre-modifiers of noun phrases. Okay, you see different titles and different subsections. What is meant by pre-modifiers? What are their types? Types of genitives in English sentences. I don't know whether you have an idea about these things in a grammar. Have you tackled them or not yet?
Yes, we have.
Types,
Yes.
types
Yes,
of
doctor,
genitive
we
in
have.
English sentences. What's meant by genitive? What are the types? Generic and specific reference of noun, a comparative study. You got the point now? What is meant by reference? What is meant by generic reference? What is meant by specific comparison? Semantic rows of objects. You see now, here, each title is able to be what? To be divided. And this is our point. How can we make an outline regarding the topic that we have, and with this we are going to classify the information that are collected and to put it in its appropriate position. And this is what is meant here in the book when we say that here we have to make an outline. So without an outline we cannot start writing, and this is very important. You have to decide an outline. You have to decide an outline, and this is what we discussed earlier in the previous chapter, and this is a practical example for that. And then you are going to start writing. Any question about this?
Doctor, I want to ask a question.
Yeah, tell me.
May I?
Yeah, tell
Thank
me.
you. About the sections of comparison and conclusion. So in
Yeah.
the comparison, we reach some conclusions. We also insert some of our personal views about the topic of our
course.
research, right? And this is
Definitely.
different
Yeah.
from the conclusion.
Yeah,
Even
yeah,
though
yeah.
we insert some conclusion in the comparison, but the conclusion section, the following one, is just like a summary to provide an overall overview of all the
Very good.
chapters.
Very good, very good.
So
You
this is,
see-
yes.
Yeah. Well, what you mentioned is, strict to
Yes.
the point. And here, what I want you just to know that these things will be tackled later when we talk about these divisions in detail. But you see now,
Yes.
I'm giving you an overview of these things, aiming to tell you that without an outline, you cannot start writing, because here we reach the point that we are going to start writing. So how to write? Okay, and from which point that we begin? So this will be
Yes.
decided by the outline. Okay, how many chapters that you have. The chapters will be divided into subheadings, and these subheadings will be sequential, okay, according to the aim of the study. All these things will be decided when you have what? An outline. Without an outline, you cannot start writing.
Yes. May
Doctor.
I
Yes.
also inquire about this outline? Is it
Yeah,
separate
tell me,
from
tell me.
is the outline separate from the research paper, or it is included in the research paper?
The outline would be, of course, is separate, because this is a helpful guide for you. It's only a guide. It will not be, let me say, included in your research paper.
Okay, it's clear. Thank you very much.
It is your own tool only. You see
Yes,
now,
I understand.
even with putting an outline, okay, this will be, for example, for you as students, okay, will not be decided by you totally. Sometimes it will be decided by the supervisor. Okay, The supervisor will give
Yes.
you the outline, or you are going to sit together and then you are going to decide together the outline that you are going to have. So what does it mean? It means that the outline will not be written in the research paper. It is only a tool, okay, to help you how to sequence your writing. It is only something technical. It is not. Let me say a distinctive part of the research paper itself. Okay, this is the idea.
Yes. Yes.
Any
It's
other
clear.
question?
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other question? I noticed that Shahad.
Doctor, please.
Yeah, doctor.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Okay,
doctor,
Shahad, you have something?
yeah. I remember you are said we are not put it the a question in the topic. So
Yeah.
why?
Well, this is not just to be considered as I mean a title. This is an example in which you can transform the question into let me say a statement. Okay, you may say the definition of something. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
that's quite right. Yeah. Well, this is not just to be followed. I mean, when you are going to write your own outline, you have to put the subsections, and that's why I'm giving you the first example. Okay, apart from the other examples about the grammar. The first example, if you
Yes,
check,
doctor. Fair. Yeah.
they are
How
put in a
category
statement,
is so
not
fair.
in the questions. Okay, this is the idea.
Yes.
Tabarak, you have something?
So we should
Yes,
make
Yeah.
statement of
You
question.
should put it on a statement. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
quite
Thank
right.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Doctor,
Tabarak, you
you
have
know,
something? Yes. Yeah.
yes.
Tell me.
You know, doctor, we first time we made the research, we don't know how to customize. So we learned that the first thing is the title, the second thing is our division, and the third thing is introduction. We start in our research.
Well. Here, as I said, it is let me say something not to be general. I mean, each outline is related to the topic itself, so it is something different. You cannot say that this is an outline for all researchers. You may say, okay, shall I put
Something good.
introduction here? When you say introduction, you see now the division of the research paper, okay, is related to the aims that are to be decided. This is one. Second, here we don't have introduction, we have a statement of the problem, because here in each research there must be a problem to be solved. We don't have introduction. Here introduction, when you have, for example, a report, okay, just to introduce something, and then you are going to have detail about these things. This is one.
Sometimes
Second,
I see research.
yeah,
I found
But
introduction.
here, let me say the scientific division of each research. Here, you have to know that with introduction, you are going to give, let me say, a comprehensive idea about the topic itself. And sometimes you see now there are, let me say, other division in which we have what we call abstract. Will be written before writing the let me say the body of the research itself, and it will be instead of introduction.
Doctor,
So here, scientifically speaking, when we begin any research paper, we should write statement of the problem instead of introduction. because statement of will cover, let me say, the idea itself of the topic. This is one. Second, it shapes the problem. There must be a problem to be solved in your research. So what is the benefit of writing an introduction without referring to the problem of the research itself? And that's why it is scientific to label, or let me say, to entitle the section statement of the problem instead of introduction. Scientific.
Doctor, this introduction is section or chapter? Yeah, in the first we didn't include
no here we don't here sometimes some let me say researchers refer to the first chapter into introductory chapter, which includes statement of the problem, aim of study, hypothesis, limits of the study, all these things. So they are giving the title of the chapter as introductory chapter. This is.
It is very clear. Thank you.
This is the idea. So they are not saying chapter 1 and then starting with the subtitles directly. They are labeling chapter. They are labeling chapter 1 as introductory chapter. But here with introduction as section, as subsection, sorry, we are using instead statement of the problem, because when you say introduction means giving a comprehensive idea about the topic itself without referring to the problem itself. And that's why it is more accurate to say a statement of the problem instead of introduction.
So this, when we want to write, we wrote a statement of the problem.
If it is related to you personally, if you are a researcher, both will be accepted. I mean, there is no, let me say, wrong if you say introductory chapter and then you are going to move to statement of the problem, but you have to refer to the problem, but you are not going to say, okay, introduction without referring to the problem of the research that you tackle. This is one. Second, it's okay to say introductory chapter as a title of chapter 1, and then you move to subsection and say statement of a problem. So, it's okay, it is accepted. Or you can start over chapter 1 and then without giving a title. Okay, it's writing what statement of the problem as the first section of chapter 1, and that's it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Tamara?
Thank you. It's very clear.
Okay. Betul, Hassan, you have something, Betul?
Yes, doctor. I have a question about when I write anything. I want to say I have some point to do it. First, I do introduction. So I get when I write introduction, should have maybe let's say a hook sentence to when the doctor or anyone write my search or my writing, enjoying to complete my writing. So in introduction should be a sentence make doctor or anyone write my writing to complete. After that I have a topic sentence. This sentence should remember that I write the title of my writing or my search in this sentence. After that, I have the body and supporting sentence. This is right, doctor?
Well, as I said, there is a scientific division of, let me say, things that you mentioned. Okay, so here, scientifically speaking, if you want just to give an overview, or let me say a comprehensive idea about your research, it will be as a separate division. That is what an abstract, which will be, placed, outside the body of the research itself. Okay, and then you are going to have chapter 1 to put a title as introductory, or to leave it without a title, just to say chapter 1, and then you start with the statement of the problem. So this is the scientific division. Here, if you want just to give an idea about the research itself, it is available in abstract itself, abstract as a separate section, which is out of the body of the research itself. It will be a section before the body. It will be written. It will be written once you finish your research totally. But here, we are in writing a research. Of course, you think of the body itself. You think of the body of the research itself before going to the other parts of the research. You see, and that's why here, as I told you, it is to be helpful for students. It will be decided for you as students, okay, together with the supervisor. So here, there are certain points to decide your outline. The topic itself, the supervisor, the way that you are going to tackle your research. So it is not just to be decided by one factor. Different factors will decide your outline. Okay, but if it is for you, if it is to be given to you, as a researcher, just to decide your outline, I explain the scientific steps. I explain things that you have to do in relation to, let me say, the things that you are going to write in chapter 1, and this is related to the statement of the problem. You have to follow the scientific division of writing your research. Zainab Ahmed.
Yes, doctor.
Yes,
Yes,
Zainab.
doctor. I have a question of right collusion.
Yeah.
As doctor, in collusion, can we say
conclusion.
is not merely a summary of points or a restatement or
Yes.
of a research
Yeah.
problem, but as of a research problem, but a synthesis of key points. So we'll know that about the end paper, and we'll now to treat the final paragraphs as the collusion. So this doctor in the collusion ended easy on a positive note.
That's quite right. We said earlier that these points will be tackled later in the following chapters. What to do in conclusion, what to do in other parts of the research. And of course, what you mentioned is quite right. And we are going to tackle them in detail later. Thanks a lot. We have Sarah. Sarah, you have something?
Yes,
Yeah.
I have a question. All you mentioned statement of a problem, introduction. We just put it in the research or also in reports?
Well, you remember in the first chapter we discussed the difference between a research and a report.
Yes, yes.
Of course, the division will be different. This is one. Second, when you are going to have a report, you don't have a problem. It's only stating the factors that it's a collection of information, and there is a sequence of writing them, and that's it. And that's why we don't have a statement of the problem. This is one. Second, when you say something about introduction, you may have, let me say, introduction as a paragraph to be written at the beginning of the report. Okay, you are not going to divide the report into chapters. They are going to be divided into, let me say, subtitles in relation to the topic of the report itself. So the division will be different. But if you consider the word introduction, of course it will be introductory paragraph, not a separate section. This is the idea.
Okay, doctor. Okay, thank you. It's clear.
Well, we don't have any other question. Okay. Here, what I want you just to, I mean, follow what we have in the book. We have writing it quickly. Okay, this is at the end of page 66. Is that okay? Can you follow?
Doctor.
Okay.
Yes.
Writing it quickly. Write the first draft quickly without worrying about how well you write. You may think that you could save time if your first draft were also your last one. But unexperienced writers agree that this attempt to save time just won't work. What does it mean? It means that if you want just to, check your time, it is not just to say that the first thing that you write is just like the last thing. It is related to the subsections, or let me say the divisions that you have. So each division can take or consume time which is different from the other. So it is wrong just to say that it is all the same, or you cannot say that all the researchers spend the same time in each research, and this is wrong. Again, we say that this is something personal. It depends on the circumstances of the researcher and the topic itself. When you are writing your first draft, you need to focus on the overall logic of your paper, fitting ideas and support together. This is very demanding mentally, so if you stop to worry over detail, such as thinking of exactly the right word, you risk losing your train of thought. You know, train of thought? That's a sequence of the ideas that you have in your mind. So here, you have to move on. I mean, when you are going to write, if you think of details, you see now, leave this to the other stage, that is rewriting. Do not, write and then you check. Start writing and move on, okay? Because, you decide this as what? As drafts. But if you write and then check, you write and check, it will not be, let me say, good for you just to move, because you are going to stay in the same point. Write and move writing, because you are going to what? To proceed. You have to proceed, and you have to, go on writing. Leave checking for the other stage. Don't worry about the right word when you are writing the first draft. Just put down a word that's close to a draw line and move on. And this is the idea behind writing, because you see now, still you are writing a draft, and in this case you have to move on smoothly, and then you are going to check in another stage. Arranging your time. Should you try to find time to write the whole paper at one sitting? What should you write first? Here are some suggestions. If the total length of your research paper will be 5 to 10 pages, a major topic one or maybe 2 or 3 major division of the body of your paper is a good length for one sitting. A major topic is often short enough to complete in one session, yet large enough to make a session productive. You see now, these are, let me say, something to be suggested, but you see now, it doesn't mean that it is a rule. You cannot follow it because it depends, as I said earlier. Writers often disagree on whether to write the introduction. This is what we discussed earlier about introduction. Writers often disagree. This is the second paragraph, if you follow. Writers often disagree on whether to write the introduction first or last. There is little use in starting a blank piece of paper while you try to think of catchy way. You know, catchy, easy to remember.
Yes,
Catchy way
interesting.
to interest your reader. If necessary, skip ahead to the first major topic division of the paper. Be sure, of course, that your pieces as you want before you write any of the body of the paper. You see now, with the introduction, you see, it is better to leave it at the end. Why? Because you see, still you are not finishing the research totally. You know, with the introduction, you are going to give a comprehensive view of the research as a whole. So unless you, write, let me say, the research totally, you cannot reach a comprehensive view. And that's why it is better just to leave the introduction, and if you say the abstract, at the end of writing your research. Because here, if you write it from the beginning, it will be incomprehensible because you don't know the other stages, the other chapters, what you are going to cover, in detail, or what you are going to come up with the things that you are going to write later. And that's why it's better just to delay writing here the introduction, or what we say the abstract later. Getting everything right is actually one argument for the writing introduction, or at least an introduction first. Working your way through a first attempt at an introduction may help you to refine your thesis before you write the rest of your paper. If so, the time spent struggling with the introduction will be time invested wisely. What does it mean? It's okay just to write, let me say, a draft for introduction. This is just to tell you, just to move ahead for the things that you are going to write later. Rewriting. Rewriting is the extra work that perfects the paper. Without it, all the earlier work suffers. Yet, so often students who have spent hours and hours rewriting and writing invest too little effort in rewriting. They are short of time or short of energy, and not surprisingly short of results. What does this mean? You know, rewriting is an important stage. Some researchers, they say that it is not that important, it is not worthy, it is not useful, and that's why they, have some little time just to be, devoted to do rewriting, and this is, of course, wrong. This will cause, little results for these, or let me say, very few results for things that you are going to have from this stage. And that's why you have to give a good time for rewriting. What do you do in the rewriting stage? You wrote your draft quickly, so you could keep your train of thought and be sure your ideas move logically from one to the next. Now go over that draft several times. Painstakingly, check accurately. You're free from the necessity of making ideas fit together and can focus instead on finding the right words and perfecting the spelling and the grammar. You see here, in rewriting, you are going to check form and content, and this is very important. What does this mean? It means that you are going to check grammar, spelling, and this is related to the form of writing. And then you are going to check the content, that is what the information that you are going to include in your research paper. And that's why we are saying that this is an important stage in writing your research. You should concentrate on how sentences and paragraphs fit together. Your paper should have a smooth flow to it. One way to check for this smooth flow is to read your paper at least once and probably many times from start to finish, specifically for the transition and the way sentences fit with sentences and paragraphs with paragraphs. There are some other tips for the rewriting stage. Let us see what are the things that we are going to do rewriting. Put the draft aside. Put the draft aside for a few days if you can, but at least for several hours. Getting away from your writing helps you become more objective and see the rough spots more easily. What does this mean? It means you cannot check immediately when you are going to finish. Leave it for several hours. Leave it for a few days. And then go back and read it once again. This will give you a good chance for good checking. This is one. Second, it will make your own checking objective rather than you see now. But here, when you are going to do it immediately, you cannot discover the mistakes or let me say things that you are going to modify directly. Leave it for a while, and this is very important. When you leave it, you are going to, you see now, because you see your process of writing, okay, will be different here, because once again, when you are going to read it, you are going to move from writing to reading. You are going to be a reader, and you are going to discover things, and you are going to judge. Got the point or not? Just tell me.
He will help him
So here,
recognize the mistake.
point. Give a time for checking. This is very important, because here, when you are going to check immediately, this will not be as accurate as you do when you are going to give a time for checking. Why? Because here, when you check immediately, you are still writing, and the job of writing and the job of reading is different. Because in writing, you want just to move, you want just to sequence your ideas, okay? But when you want just to discover your mistakes, you are going to move from a writer to a reader. And that's why you have to give a time just to move from one role to another. Is that okay? Is it
Yes.
is it understood? So give it a short time, because this will help you to discover more mistakes or more, let me say, things that are to be modified rather than just to do it immediately.
Doctor.
Yes, tell me.
Doctor, maybe when I write, I don't mind if I have mistakes or don't.
Yeah. And that's why we have different roles as a writer and as a reader.
Yes, Doctor.
when you leave it and then you go back to read, you are going to have, let me say, the readiness to correct. This is the point that you mentioned now. The readiness
Yes,
to
yes,
correct
doctor.
will be later. It will not be immediate, because you see now, you will be again, you will be confused when you write and then you correct. You feel, I mean psychologically, you feel that you are not going to move on, because see, everything will be corrected immediately. You see that this will not help you to move on. You move on writing, okay, and then this will not give you a good chance to discover the mistakes when you are a reader. When you leave it and then you go back to read, things will be better.
Doctor,
Doctor, he will be the critic of his own work.
That's it. Very good. Yes,
Yes.
that's very fine. And as we said, that it will be more objective. Let us see the technique number 2. If you know how to type, by the way, to type nowadays, to print, you know the word here, to type is
Yes.
to be used, previously, but nowadays, no, we print using computers. If you,
Yes.
Yes.
you know how to print, if you say, don't worry about strikeovers or other errors, but type your paper at least once before you put it in the final form. You see now, as a printer, you know, when you print, again, here, when you write by hand, okay, will be different when you are going to print, because when you print, you are going to think of the things that you are going to do it, okay? What does it mean? Again, it will be a good chance for you to discover things, okay? You see now, sometimes when you make your research paper, if you are going to print it yourself, you are going to discover mistakes, rather than when others will print it for you. Got it or not, just tell me. So
Yes,
when
yes.
you are going to be the printer, okay, the one who can print the research, again, it will be a good chance for you to discover mistakes and modify things, rather than just to write it on paper.
Doctor, our
Yes.
aim behind our research is to make the reader understood us. So as soon
Yes.
as
Yes.
we made the role of reader, will made us discover everything in form, context, mistake in grammar, maybe a word that's hard to pronounce, to replace it, because our aim is to make it easier. As soon as we customize the idea, it will be very good.
Yeah. You see now, we are discussing the process of rewriting. You know, we discussed the other stages, the other previous stages, and we are talking about rewriting. How to do it. This is one, and the aim behind it. When we say how to do it, we have techniques, we have things that help us just do it, okay? This is one. Second, this will move from the draft to the what? To the refined writing. What does it mean? Once you are going to finish with rewriting, it will be the final form. The other point now. So this is here. When you are talking about rewriting, it means that we are reaching the final form of what we write. It means that we passed writing and we passed rewriting, and then when we have rewriting, it means everything is modified, everything is corrected. And you see now, for you as students, You know, rewriting will not be done by you only. Rewriting will be done by, it is not rewriting, by the way. We have checking, another checking by the supervisor. Here, you did it, and you feel that this is the final form, and then you do these things, and you deliver it to the supervisor. The supervisor will read it, and then there are some points and some notes will be given by the supervisor for modification. I'm telling you for the things that you are going to do next year. So what does it mean here? You do it personally, and then there is another, let me say, person that is the supervisor will again read it and to check the things, and if they are okay, it will be accepted, and if there are other modifications, it will be given for you. So here, when you say the final form, for you just to do it. But if there is somebody who is going to help you to do it and to do it more accurately, it will be okay. Is that okay, Tabarak?
Very clear, Doctor.
Okay.
Very clear. Thank you.
Now, we say the another technique that is printing or let me say
دكتور
typing. Yes, please.
آسفة على المقاطعة، بس عندنا طالبة اسمها بان حيدر إن ما عندها نت فاصل وما قدرت تحضر.
It's okay. If there is a
حتى
problem,
استمارة ما عملت، يعني محسوب عليها غياب، بس
okay,
يعني
no, it's okay. Now you told me about these things, and it will be okay. And you know the lecture is recorded, and now it's okay for her.
شكرا جزيلا دكتور.
It's okay. Now, what is the other technique? That is, read your draft aloud. This isn't the same as reading to yourself without making sounds. By reading aloud, you will be surprised how easily you can hear the rough, awkward portions of your writing. Again, this is another thing. It doesn't mean that you are going to follow all these things, but follow what helps you to discover mistakes. Follow what makes you modify your research paper. Okay. For this, we are going to stop at this point, and we are going to continue for the other lectures. But I'm going to give a time for you, because you remember we said that next week will be our monthly exam, and
Yes.
I told you just to prepare any question, anything about the material for examination, and that's why this time will be for your own questions. So I'm ready to answer any question about the exam, any question about the material of the exam.
Doctor, our exam will be MCQ, or there is something
MCQ,
we write?
yeah. It will be MCQ, true, false, and multiple choice.
Doctor, this mean the question very difficult.
You mean it will be difficult?
Yes, doctor, because when I explain AC for me for an choice be difficult.
Here I want just to tell you something. It is the exam to make us understand, not to
Yes, doctor, I know.
to have marks. This is one. Second, students will not be evaluated by the exam only. It's only 20 marks. You have other marks that are related to participation,
Yes.
for the presence, and for the assignments. By the way,
For the oral
we did assignments, and you send me assignments. All these things will, help me to evaluate students and to give them their own, let me say, deserved marks. Okay, it doesn't mean that students will be evaluated only by
The monthly exam.
only. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And do not think of exam as something which is difficult. This is one. Second, I'm giving you the time just to think, and you are not going to be so quick to do the exam. Think of the items, think of each item, and of course, things will not be that so difficult. You can read it, you can understand it.
Doctor, the
Students, if they
question
are,
not
yeah,
very
yeah,
difficult, but I'm afraid that the time finished, so I'm confused. يعني
no, no, no,
ارتبك
no,
لأن
no.
الوقت
You
يعني
have to
يشغل
know.
الطالب جدا.
You have to know that it will be a good time for you just to think of the items, and the items will not be that so many. It is monthly exam. It is not that the items that are to be given in the final examination.
Yes,
Yes.
Okay.
doctor.
Yes.
Thank
So
you
this
so
is one.
much.
Yeah, this is one. Second, I want you just to think of the material itself, rather than the exam. Do you think that the material is difficult? I believe that it is just like a catalog. When we are talking about methods of research, we are not
Yes,
talking
doctor.
about that
Doctor, you are
that
explaining
yeah.
very clear. So I think question maybe
Well, the questions are related to what you understood from the material. This is one.
yes, doctor.
Second, the material itself, and this is what my aim. The material itself is not that difficult, or let me say, I mean, that is not to be understood easily. It is, as I said, it's just like a catalog. It's just like the catalog of any machine that you want just to buy and to know how to do it. This is the way.
Yes, doctor.
Okay,
But
so it's
Yes.
important information.
and we have steps. We have steps. I want you just to imagine yourself as a researcher. What we are going to do from the beginning till the end. This is.
Yes, doctor.
We decided earlier that this is a helpful course. What does it mean, helpful course? This will make you ready to do your research in the coming year, just like your colleagues in the fourth year now. They are doing their own researches depending on what they understood from this course. This is the idea.
Yes.
And by the way, this course will be only the first course, and that's it.
Yes,
Once
doctor. We
yeah,
learn
Yes.
many things now.
we don't have any
Last
other
year.
course about methods of research in the second course. It's only in the first course.
Yes.
We have Salim. Salim Hamid, you raise your hand. Salim.
Yes, doctor.
Yeah. Tell me.
Some question about the examination material.
Yeah.
Does the examination material include even the 5 chapter, the fundamentals review or not?
No. Only 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, we chapter 5 will not be included. I told
Okay,
you earlier. Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
So I know that you are good students. You are doing very good job in each lecture. You are good participants. I believe that our aim of our course will be achieved by your own participation. The course is nothing without
With your plus and efforts,
no.
doctor.
Believe me, if it is related to me, it will be nothing, because unless we have interaction, unless we have participation, the course is nothing. Okay, and that's why I'm saying that I'm sure of you. I'm sure of your own levels, and I believe that you are going to reflect your own level in the exam.
Thank you,
Take
doctor.
it
Of
easy.
course.
Take it easy. Our aim is just to understand and just to be ready for the coming year when you are going to write your researches. And as I told you, that this is a helpful course, it is not because of, let me say, difficult material, only guidelines and steps, stages, only on these things. Sarah, you have something to raise your hand?
Just what we learned in each chapter we read in the exam.
I told you only the the tackled material. We left so many things, if you remember.
Yes,
There
yes.
are certain examples that are found in the book. They are not necessary. Only the material, and you see, told you in the previous lectures what are to be left and what is to be taken.
We understand the thoughts
yeah,
from each
yeah,
chapter
yeah.
and yes.
Yeah, this is one. Second, you remember that I told you just to review the recorded lectures.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
if students are not concerned, or I'm not sure about what is to be included and what is not, the recorded lectures are available. You can check them one by one, and these things will be easy for you to discover what is required in the exam and what is not.
Yes, doctor. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So in this case, I believe that there are no questions about the content of the material.
No, doctor, you have explained it perfectly. Thank you very much.
Anyway, I hope that you are going to get good results to reflect your good levels, and we are going to move on smoothly with this course till the end of the lectures of this material. Thanks a lot for your listening, and we are going to meet next week. Thanks a lot.
Inshallah.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you very much.
Sorry, but